Okay, so Six Thatchers was kind of Lying Detective, on the other hand, was fucking brilliant. Though I'm still not totally on board with the story arc this series has been running with, and this idea that Mycroft and Sherlock have a secret hidden sister that we had nods to and then a cliffhanger in the last 2 episodes kind of has me worried, but... Okay, let's just go ahead, see if this convinces me. Oh my god, there are bees in my eyes! Not the bees! Oh god, there's a screaming baby on my ceiling. Why is there a screaming baby on my ceiling? What the fuck was that? I just... Holy shit, that was fucking insane! Okay, I've been struggling for a while to think of how I'd describe the final problem. At first I wanted to open by saying that it doesn't just jump the shark, but it loses the force of gravity while in the process of jumping the shark and floats off into space and flies into the centre of the fucking sun. But the problem with that analogy is that it implies that final problem only jumps one shark. This thing jumps a shark about once every 10 seconds. The moment I thought to myself, right, this is about as stupid as Sherlock will ever get, suddenly it gets even more ludicrous and I piss myself laughing. But I didn't hate it. I know, it's weird. Aside from the last third, I personally thought that Final Problem was a fucking blast. It was so insane, so ridiculous, stupid, over the top, so far removed from anything Sherlock's done before, so out of kilter with not just the very dark and complex previous episode, Series 4 as a whole, and, you know what, basically the entire show. Okay, let's go through this shitcake of stupid step by step and have a big old spoiler warning plastered over the screen. Right, okay. So, at the end of Lying Detective, John's therapist reveals herself to be the third Holmes sibling who's been kept a secret from Sherlock and his memories have been repressed. And in order to get Mycroft to admit that, Sherlock and Watson orchestrate a pretentious dream sequence-like performance with a scary clown. And so Mycroft confesses the backstory of the missing Holmes sibling, who I found out from some mild googling was only ever proposed. Correct me on any details about Sherlock Holmes, any Conan Doyle aficionados watching. I'm not sure how much of this episode was in the originals, because, as said, I'm not one of you. I mean, obviously that sequence where Moriarty's getting off the helicopter and dancing to Queen wasn't in the originals, but... Okay, I'm going to read this backstory to Eurus Holmes out loud. See if you can take this seriously. Okay. So, Sherlock and Mycroft have a secret hidden sister called Eurus who has been erased from Sherlock's memory, and she was like even smarter than Mycroft and Sherlock. In fact, she was almost like a psychic, but she's also a psychopath, like even more so than Sherlock and Mycroft. Apparently she killed Sherlock's childhood dog Redbeard and burnt their house down. So Mycroft and their parents had her incarcerated on an island prison for the criminally insane, and... Okay, sorry, I have to stop. Sorry, I'm just trying to picture the sheer amount of people who would have had to have listened to this pitch during its progression from idea to script to production without pissing themselves laughing. Okay, let me just underline here that I don't dislike the final problem because it's ludicrous. I mean, I like Jonathan Creek for fuck's sake, and there is genuinely an episode of Jonathan Creek where he's solving the disappearance of a girl and investigating a weird cult of tree-humping hippies who are building an ark in the middle of the woods in order to survive the next great flood. Really, this is a real episode of a British detective show. That episode of Jonathan Creek just suddenly sprung to mind while I was watching this one. I accept the final problem as an avid viewer of stupid shit, but it's just not a very Sherlock premise, and it looks totally out of place in a show like this. Same with that bit where the psychopathic sister sends in a drone to blow up Sherlock's apartment and they all jump out the window like it's James Bond or some shit. I mean, it's entertaining, I'll give it that. Six Thatchers was mostly boring because it all played out in montages, tidbits of more interesting stories and pointless cul-de-sacs. Whereas Final Problem isn't like that at all. It isn't weirdly shot and paced, over-stylized and incoherent. I mean, it's fucking ludicrous, but it plays out as a straight narrative from start to finish. There's relatively few montages and plot cul-de-sacs, aside from the flashback, of course. I guess that's probably why it's had such a negative reception, because its premise, plotting, characters, basically everything in it is stupid, but it doesn't try and distract you from the fact that it's stupid with, ooh, look at this, isn't it clever, diversions like, say, Abominable Bride from last year. There's nowhere else to look. All of this is entirely real. It's not a case of the unreliable narrator like with Lying Detective. If people aren't on board with this plot, then they will definitely notice everything and really dislike the episode. But here's the thing that I kind of admire. That's brave, that is. I really appreciate this because it's a risk. I admire the spirit of the final problem, if not the actual substance of it, because the actual substance of it is so stupid, nowhere near as clever as it thinks it is, and the ending pissed me off, but I'll get to that. Anyway, on a more positive note, I have been really enjoying Mrs. Hudson this series. I know that ever since we had that startling revelation about her past, she's essentially turned into the series' one-liner spouter, built for memes and the internet, so she kinda falls into my axis of what's dragged Sherlock downhill, but I guess I'll have to play hypocrite here because she listens to Iron Maiden while doing the hoovering. Fucking I listen to Iron Maiden while doing the hoovering. If next series we've got her listening to Sepultura while doing the ironing, that'd pretty much do it for me and guarantee a good review. Anyway, back to the stupid bollocks. Okay, so we got Sherlock in this Hannibal Lecter type bit where he's talking to his imprisoned psychopathic sister. I do like the lady playing Eurus, name is Sian Brooke, and I do wish her all the best, and I really hope she gets good work off the back of this. It's just a shame I can't take her threatening demeanour seriously, because every second something dumb, overblown and stupid will happen, like it'll suddenly turn out that Eurus has actually taken control of the prison this entire time. What? There was no glass there the entire time? Okay, you remember a magician's gotta confound the audience, but how has she confounded him here? I mean, yeah, in this scene, he was in the heat of the moment. This is an emotional confrontation with a family member that he didn't even know he had. And Eurus is some fucking super genius, but Sherlock doesn't notice there's no glass there. But he...
I'm Sherlock Bleeding Holmes!
Really? Is this not a massive stretch for anyone else? But Stuart, look at the fact these other people think it's good. Therefore, you are wrong. Oh wow, sorry, that means I have to change my mind now. Wow, the internet is getting so good at offering convincing counter-arguments. And then Moriarty appears again and I started banging my head on my knees and going, what the fuck is going on? How is he alive?
Smell all that insane criminality.
Couldn't we just fucking ditch Moriarty already? Seriously, he's been a dead weight on this series since about 2012, because every episode we got Sherlock blathering on about him for no sodding reason. He died. And it keeps teasing us and going, maybe he didn't die, and now he's here, and then it reveals, oh, this was actually 5 years ago. That is cheating. Like, you timestamp a flashback 2 minutes into it. I fucking... You don't do that. That there is you saying that you only didn't tell us this was 5 years ago for 2 minutes because you wanted my brain to explode asking how the fuck Moriarty's still alive. Seriously, this caption was fucking traumatic. Anyway, back to... Oh god, it just keeps topping itself with stupid. I swear that we should play Dramatic Chipmunk every time something either forced, clumsy or unnecessary happens.
If you want to save the governor's wife, choose either Dr. Watson or Mycroft to kill the governor.
Oh, God.
You see what you did? Because you don't want blood on your hands, 2 people are dead instead of 1.
No, 2 people.
Yes. Hang on.
Oh!
Ooh, look, a pterodactyl! Anyway, so Eurus has these chambers with puzzles for Sherlock to solve, and it turns into a fucking Saw movie. Oh joy! Not only is that dreadful franchise coming back soon, now Sherlock's doing chambers of pretentious puzzles and simplistic moral dilemmas. Fucking brilliant. Oh, so, yeah, who should die? You now choose who is to die, and it's like, who's the most deserving to die? You know, that's totally not the most tired thing in the horror genre next to zombies and the fucking jump scare.
Sherlock. No.
Take that, coffin! I am expressing emotional strife. I am literally punching death. Okay, so we're at about the hour mark in my notes, and this is where the fun, stupid bit of the episode ends, and we get to the disappointing conclusion. And since I just mentioned obvious heavy-handed shit, this links in perfectly to talking about the reason that Eurus is doing what she's doing. So, Eurus chucks Watson down a well.
Help me, please! I fell down the well!
I'll get help, laddie!
And she's having it filled in with water, and she's reenacting what she did when she was a kid, which was why her parents locked her up. Sherlock never had a dog called Redbeard. Redbeard was actually his childhood friend who Eurus killed by chucking down a well, which is what she's doing now to his current best friend Watson, because...
You killed my best friend.
I never had a best friend. I had no one.
And ooh, twist, yeah, how dark and cold and shit, and... Okay, I know I'm probably likely to get some snobby comments over this, alleging I just don't get it or something, but I was mostly just really unimpressed at it being revealed to be a very basic revenge and you never spent any time with me thing. Last week it was all about duality and the layers of people's personalities and all these really dark questions that humanity's been grappling with for centuries expressed in a beautiful way, and now, here, it's just...
I never had a best friend.
These two things are sat side by side. And saying they're on equal footing, or even close, to me, that devalues lying detective, which I won't do and just fucking can't do, because it would be an insult to that genuinely fantastic bit of television.
Deep water, Sherlock, all your life, in all your dreams. Deep waters.
So, apparently, all the water in the previous stories was thematically linked. Which we're just going to say to the audience. You know that motifs are supposed to be subtle, right? You don't just draw a big red ring around them and go, look, here's a motif. It's not just heavy-handed, it finds a new definition for heavy-handed and obvious. Just like with the bit that I haven't talked about yet, the girl on the plane full of unconscious people who Sherlock's on the phone to all episode trying to save while he deals with Eurus. The second time the little girl appeared on the other end of the phone, I immediately thought, it's going to turn out the little girl isn't real. It turning out the little girl isn't real and she's like a metaphor or something would be a cool twist if it wasn't so blindingly obvious from the outset.
Look how brilliant you are. Your mind has created the perfect metaphor. You're high above us all, alone in the sky, and you understand everything except how to land.
Yeah, let's just fucking say it to our audience again. Seriously, what happened to the incredibly efficient visual storytelling from last episode? Why are you just telling us this stuff? That's why this last third was more frustrating to me than the ridiculous first hour. I might have actually appreciated some of it if it wasn't screaming the point in my face. Anyway, so the last 10 minutes are pretty much just series wrap-up, and I suppose the positive I can draw out at the end of it is pretty much everything's been tied up now. Unless there's more fan-baiting and setups in it that I missed, because I don't think there were. You know, Mary's dead, and there was that nice little monologue where she goes,
Will you listen to me? Who you really are, it doesn't matter. It's all about the legend, the stories, the adventures.
yeah, maybe we can just go back to solving mysteries in Season 5 now. Why we couldn't have just been doing that for the last 3 fucking years, God only knows. But, you know, Moriarty's dead. Yes, he is. We know that now. Please drop him. I am sick of Moriarty. But I guess I am grateful that the final problem feels like an ending. Drops all the dead weight, just go solve some crimes. Actual ending, and... Oh, wait, what? Wait, that might be the actual end of the show. They haven't decided yet. Yeah, I mean, that freeze frame did make it look like a proper ending, didn't it? And... Wait, are you fucking kidding me? That's supposed to be it? Oh, for fuck's sake. Okay, anyway, so, Series 4 in summation. Okay, I know it's been getting pretty poor write-ups, and I haven't exactly sounded that cheerful in this video, but if you take anything away from my Sherlock Series 4 videos, don't think it's that this series isn't worth your time, because it most assuredly is. Lying Detective was totally worth it, but think of Lying Detective like a phone charger made of solid gold that's intricately woven into a tangled mess of unrelated laptop chargers for ones that aren't yours, extension leads and other assorted plugs and other shit that you don't care about. And no one enjoys untangling that shit, but the problem is, the experience isn't the same without it. Lying Detective is supported by the events of Six Thatchers and the conclusions in the final problem. It'd be a totally different experience without it, and I'm not sure it would work as well. It's a damn shame. It'd be cool if Lying Detective worked just as well on its own, but it needs the context of the other two, and I just think that's kind of a shame. It was still an incredible bit of television, though. Final Problem, on the other hand, I enjoyed it, but Christ, it was stupid.